right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in David Murphree, Nick Wilson, and Clint Thompson, as well as Aaron Garvich over there on the board. Yeah, getting everything going. We've been recording for a while. We hadn't started the episode, but we've been the cameras have been on, and we've been recording the audio for about 15, 20 minutes now. And you just got here.
And there's about 14 minutes of that we can't use.
Yeah. We'll explain why later.
No, we won't.
We'll probably post it on TikTok. So
oh my goodness, are you serious?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that conversation about sticky fingers.
You said it.
Well, I mean, it's a restaurant. It's a restaurant, right?
Yeah, Chattanooga. It's one of my favorite restaurants, barbecue places.
Sticky Fingers Restaurant.
Yeah, Sticky Fingers. No, StickyFingersRestaurant.com.
Sticky Fingers Restaurant.
That's one of my
Add the
favorites.
restaurant.
It's good. And then there's a Moon Pie store.
Yep.
Right across the street from it.
Yep.
That's downtown Chattanooga. Yeah.
It's good.
I like downtown Chattanooga.
Yeah, it's a fun
cool.
It's a fun place. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's on the tier of Birmingham. You know, Birmingham's kind of had a rejuvenation, but Chattanooga, it reminds me a little bit of it. A little.
Chattanooga's got the river.
Right.
They've got the river walk. They've got those microbreweries and those bars, and not that that's my scene, but it adds to the ambiance, the atmosphere of downtown for Chattanooga.
We recorded an episode of Ham and Spam last night
we
with
did.
Nick Wilson.
Caveat.
That's what it was.
Caveats.
I
don't know why he said that. Shout out to you, Hammy.
Good job.
Check out the latest episode of Ham and Spam's Retro Review.
I don't know when that episode is going to be out.
I don't know when this one's going to go out. So this one will probably go out way after that one went out.
Yeah, probably.
So we can say what we talked
Yeah,
about.
there you go.
We talked about No Way Home.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
So
it's a good episode.
it'll be out by the time this one airs.
Will you listen to that one, David? Spider-Man No Way Home?
He probably will.
You'll probably listen to it just because it's a podcast, but
I might watch it.
hey, we give you a pretty good shout out there.
I will. Yeah, I'll listen to it probably, and I might watch Spider-Man. I was actually thinking last night that I don't know why, but I may watch Star Wars.
No way. Are you serious?
Probably not. I was thinking about it. I probably won't.
Like that. Well,
I'm not.
That was
I'm
a
not
roller
gonna watch
coaster.
it. I'm not
roller
gonna watch
coaster
it.
ride.
I was thinking about it, but I probably won't.
well, if you decide to, I think I'd like to be there. I think that'd be fun to watch
Watching
it
through
with
the
you.
window, or like next.
Well, I
to
mean,
it?
my spot's still there. I mean, where I'm watching.
I probably won't though. I was just thinking about it.
He might get you with a water hose.
Well, as long as it's not sticky fingers.
Yeah. This has come full circle.
It has.
This is just come full circle, man.
So what's been going on?
Well, we've actually, he and I have been listening to Ham and Spam's y'all's Retro Review podcast, and we talked about it yesterday. I got done with it was the Big Red 1 episode we talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we listened to, the Call of Duty Big Red 1 episode. Really good episode, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Appreciate that.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know.
I got 10 minutes left. I'll probably listen to it tonight. But it was good. I enjoyed the World War II talk.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like with something like that, unless it's movie or game related, we don't really get into a whole lot of World War II talk. But it's a fascinating time in history. The stories, the ins and outs. You got the 30,000 foot level story, and you got a 10,000 level foot story, and you got on the ground stories that just like I watched one. I watched a YouTube video today talking about where the British had found out that the Germans had built a fake fort. Well, not fort, but what am I talking about? A base, an army base, just completely out of wood. They were just trying to get them to waste, their munitions and stuff on destroying the base. Well, the British flew over and dropped wooden bombs and said, wood for wood is what it said on the side of it, saying, hey, we know what you're doing. Here's some fake bombs to go with your fake base.
Well, it's just like you and I were talking about, I
I
think
thought that was
yesterday,
neat.
about Patton's fake army.
The balloon army?
Across from Calais, which is where Hitler and most of the Nazi Wehrmacht thought that they were going to land.
Right.
Was the shortest distance between England and France, which was the Calais. Anyway, so yeah, that was that.
Yeah, I think that was
we talked about
Operation
that too.
Fortitude, I think is what that was. And then my kids were in class. They're doing some World War I research, and they were telling me, and I never heard this before, there was a fake Paris, too. Have y'all ever
Really?
heard that before?
Never heard
I
that.
haven't double-checked it. And they said today that the wristwatch, I think, was invented in the trenches, too.
That makes sense because used to they had to.
Yeah.
It was on a chain, right? And
Yeah.
then they had to carry it around in their pocket, but they needed, like, I guess if you're holding a gun, and you just do that right there, or keep it on the underside of your arm.
Yeah. That's what they said.
Huh.
I never heard that before. They may have just made it up. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Somebody verify that for us.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But going back to the Patton Army, somehow or another it got back to Hitler that Patton was suspended during that time because basically he beat up a soldier for PTSD before it was ever PTSD.
With his 45s, right? With his Colt 45s, he took his 45.
So he was suspended, and they brought him back to basically say, "Hey, we're going to get you to head up this balloon army." The Germans found out about it and said, "We know they're coming there because Patton's there."
Yeah, Patton's in charge.
Right. So they go over and it is what it is.
And they heavily defend Calais as a result, and
Right.
not so much Normandy, which was the original planned invasion point for Operation Overlord, and that was. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Can
on
you
the Allies'
imagine
part.
Normandy had they fortified it with
Like
everything they
should
had?
have. You know, I did a research paper in college on Normandy, and I didn't know this until because they called that northern part there the Atlantic Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the Atlantic Wall is, it was more defended in some areas than others, what they thought were going to be highlight points of attack for the Allies, what the Nazis thought.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those soldiers in Western Europe, I shouldn't say a lot, more than you would think, more of their soldiers in Western Europe than you would think were conscripted expatriates from other countries that they had already conquered. So a bunch of those soldiers were Czech soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of those soldiers were Polish soldiers that were basically forced into the the Wehrmacht.
Yeah, that Forgotten Soldier book that I was telling you about the other day. That guy was fighting for Germany, I think, but by the end of the war, he was on the French side.
Because a lot of them, especially in Western Europe, because you've got to think, before the Allies invaded at Normandy in 1944, in June 1944, all conflict was mainly focused in I'm not going to say not all conflict. Most of their resources, Nazis' resources, went towards Italy, and a lot of their resources went to the Eastern Front against the Soviet Union. So they're going to put their dollar store, no offense, but their dollar store off-brand soldiers in Western Europe because it's not of immediate concern. Right?
Sure.
And plus, you've got the Atlantic Wall to help defend. Whatever.
Before we move off, I saw a movie, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it, and maybe you do once I kind of describe this. There was a situation, World War II movie. There's a situation where a German officer or a German member of the military had gotten caught and was talking, and nobody understood what he was saying because he was speaking in Czech. And then underneath it had the subtitle says, "I'm Czech. I'm here by my own free will. Please don't kill me." And they ended up killing him anyway. And for the life of me, I can't remember. So that brought up that memory when you said about the different people being there, different nations being part of that army,
and not willingly. Like on the
right.
Eastern Front, there were a lot of Bulgarian, Romanian troops fighting with the Nazis against the Soviets too, because those countries had allied with Hitler. Anyway, but yeah, and that goes back to the conversation too, that really cool story that we talked about. That was it a British or an American bomber that was flying back?
American bomber.
It was an American. Was it a B-52?
No, they'd like a B-29.
Okay, so it was not a B-52.
Yeah,
B-52.
B-29.
God, B-52 wasn't
That was
around.
later on.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm getting my B's mixed up, my bombers mixed up. B-29 Stratofortress, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess that's what it was.
Was coming back.
Yeah, from a
after
bombing raid over Germany.
and had been heavily damaged.
Yeah, barely flying.
And a Messerschmitt
German plane.
German fighter was sent to take care of it, and for some reason that German pilot, Luftwaffe pilot, did not shoot down that plane.
Yeah, he escorted him back out of Germany. And then the two pilots met up like 60 years later.
Oh,
Here
wow.
recently.
You ever heard about that? There was
I've not.
There was
That
a
is
famous
amazing.
painting about it, but like the German, the German pilot, he couldn't tell anybody what he had done because they would have executed him.
Sure.
And then the Americans, they told what had happened to them when they got back on the ground, and they said, "Don't tell anybody because we don't want anybody to see the Germans as friendlies." So they couldn't. Neither one of them could tell anybody.
Right.
But they met each other. They found each other. Like the German pilot ended up in Canada.
Yeah.
And the American pilot was in the United States, and they finally got together like just like 10 years ago.
It was very
probably.
recently.
Yeah.
And there's,
social media.
There's
I
video
guess.
out there of it. I think. Isn't there a video out there? They're
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think so.
Photo or
Probably
something
so.
that I've seen.
Yeah, if it's
and
in
it
the
was
last
very,
decade, I would
it was
say
very
it would be.
emotional. It was a very emotional experience.
I mean, that's kind of reminiscent of the trench Christmas.
The Christmas truce.
Yeah.
And that I listened to a shout out to Short History of, which is a podcast that I listen to, and every episode's different, but it's like a 20-30 minute podcast every week. It's different about something unique, and they did one about the Christmas truce, and they talk about the Christmas truce, and they kind of break down some of the myth about the Christmas truce, but also some of the realities of it,
Right.
and how it was sort of inconsistent. You know, some on some parts of the line, it was very amicable, and both sides came up, and yeah, they did play a game of footy and all that good stuff. And then on some other parts of the front, it wasn't as you know, the guys stayed in their trenches, but they just didn't fire on each other. You
Right.
know,
So
so
Garth Brooks got a song about that.
He
right?
does.
Christmas
yeah,
song.
He does.
Bella Wood or something
Bella
like
Wood.
that. And what about that Forgotten Soldier book? I want to pre-recommend it. All right.
a prereq.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, now y'all know what Patton did when he crossed the Rhine River.
He
right?
peed in the Rhine.
Yeah. Peed.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not.
He took a good old pee.
Well, he stopped right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Before he went into Germany, I guess going across the Rhine River, he told his Jeep driver to stop. And it was a big deal, him going into Germany. Photographers taking pictures, all the soldiers watching him do it. And he just stopped right in the middle of the bridge and got off and unzipped, peed in the river in front of everybody. And zipped up, got back in Jeep.
How's this for a newspaper clipping?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he spit on the ground when he got on the other side, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Talk about a guy that you'd love to go meet. I mean, that guy, wow.
And he got killed in a car wreck in Belgium.
Right
After the
after the war.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's some conspiracy theories out there that think that somebody had him offed.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm just going to throw that out there,
It
too.
could happen.
I'm not saying
I mean,
I believe it.
I wouldn't
believe
put it
that,
past
but,
him. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past
but,
somebody. So.
you know, he kind of, at the end of the war, he was definitely one of the more well-known, popular. And, you know, he was never a 4-star general.
No, he wasn't.
He made it to what, a 3-star?
Yeah.
So,
Who were the two big generals during that time? Patton and MacArthur.
We had
Well-
four of them that made 5-star.
yeah.
But you can
General.
only be a 5-star during war. Is that correct?
I don't
Like-
think we've had any since then, any 5-stars since then. We had
Was
4
it
of
Omar
them.
Bradley?
Omar Bradley, George Marshall, MacArthur.
MacArthur, and Eisenhower. Yeah. Eisenhower was a 5-star because he was technically the supreme Allied commander in Europe, right?
I think George Marshall was the overall, what do you call the overall commander of the military? The
Chief of Staff?
Yeah, I think he was Joint Chief
Chief
of
of the
Staff,
Joint Chiefs of Staff, yeah.
And but you had
Or
some
Hamilton,
admirals
whatever.
that were 5-star admirals too.
Was Nimitz a 5-star?
Well, yeah, probably so. You had 2 or 3 of them too.
I can't remember.
Halsey, there was when there were
Yeah.
Halsey and Nimitz. And all.
But they don't use that rank anymore because that, you know, I think most of the time it's like, okay, we got to, since we're not technically involved in a war, we just need to stick to the NATO rankings. But if we ever actually did go to a war with somebody,
Jump back up to
then-
signify who's
yeah, then the United
Top,
States
yeah.
would be like, okay, we're going to name a 5-star and you're going to lead NATO. Let's go, you know. So, which might happen sooner rather than later. Who knows?
well at the recording of this podcast. That is true.
Yeah.
So, anywho,
But yeah, that's a great conversation. I've enjoyed that
yeah,
conversation.
I don't know how well it'd go over for our podcast. I mean, I don't know how many people really wanted to jump on here and listen to history, but
Well,
I really
for our
enjoyed
German listeners, you know,
or not.
well, you probably.
I killed Aaron.
You probably enjoy. Hopefully, you enjoyed that. I don't know,
Hopefully, you
maybe
enjoyed it,
didn't.
but
Well, I didn't know Hammy was a World War II buff.
oh,
He got his degree in
I
history.
Yeah, he got his degree in history.
Does he have his master's degree, or is it just
No,
his bachelor's?
not
He
just
just
his
got his
bachelor's.
bachelor's in history. He doesn't have a master's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he used it to catch dogs for a while. It was a pretty riveting
He was
story.
a dog catcher.
He was a dog.
We got to
catcher.
have him on just to like talk to him.
He there are certain times in Hammy's life where he likes to put a lid on it and just don't really talk
Yeah.
about it. And being the dog catcher is one of them because there's a lot of stories there.
I don't know. We went to Buc-ee's one night, and he talked.
Yeah.
And he opened up that can of worms,
Yeah.
and I got to hear a bunch of cool stories about him being a dog catcher.
Yeah,
You got to catch everything.
everything, and
He
it's
talked
not-
about some of that.
Yeah, he's like, sometimes you get the call and just if you're there and there's nothing else to do, you have to go do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can put it off, but other times, like, you have to go do it.
And he's technically not a law enforcement officer. He's like the closest thing you can become to a law enforcement officer without actually having to go to the academy, right?
Right.
He can't carry around a firearm. Can he? Can a dog catcher carry a firearm?
No, as I have shifty eyes. I'm sure he did because for his own protection.
Yeah,
kind of
no
thing.
doubt. But
legally, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did.
So, but he did get a truck.
Yep.
He got a vehicle with emergency lights.
Yep.
And he could make people move out of his way if he went on a call, right? He
Yep.
could run lights and go.
Right.
Yeah. So he got the best part of being a law enforcement officer.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
The dogs, having to clean up
That
the dog
sucks.
stuff in the back would be pretty bad.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
But being able to like turn your lights on and have people get out of your way.
Well, I've seen volunteer fire chiefs do that too. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was one of my favorite parts of my job in college was being in a police car. And
the front or the back?
Well, technically it was the back, but it was a. I mean, I worked for a football team, and so when we would get escorted places, I always had to ride in the cop car.
Really?
And so it was the head trooper, the director of football operations, and me, and sometimes the team doctor. And so when we would escort the team on the interstate or through the town or wherever, man, people getting out of I've got videos of it I need to show y'all. It was one of the best feelings in the world because it's like.
That's right. Get out of my way, baby.
Because you are literally running red lights.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got into Auburn, so we would stay in Montgomery for home games. So we'd have to drive I-85 all the way back in. Well, getting off the interstate and getting off at that second Auburn exit, you've got all those red lights there. So we had 3 cars in our escort. We had the head car, which I was in, and then we had 2 other what they called pass-off or patrol cars that would pass off and, block traffic or move traffic, and they'd rotate getting out in front and behind.
Probably had a motorcycle cop in there somewhere.
Well, when we got off at the exit, we had 4 motorcycle escorts, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, and they would help block off intersections.
Right, they'd speed ahead.
Yeah, and block off intersections for it. Dude, amazing.
I've seen that one time. I've seen it before, don't get me wrong, but I saw it one time with a heart transplant.
Yeah, they'll do it.
They've got an ambulance. The ambulance doesn't have any lights or anything on, but it's got an escort. And I was coming through Gadsden, and they were blocking off everything as they came through and just speeding on to the hospital. So that was pretty neat. It's the first time I've ever seen it non-emergency, football, escort kind of thing.
So I was talking to the head trooper when I was there one time, and he told me he was one of the assistant troopers when the football team went out to Pasadena to play in the 2013 national championship game at the Rose Bowl, and he said there's nothing like watching the California Highway Patrol block off the 405.
Oh,
like,
I bet.
Like he said, you're talking about what? Is it 4, 5, 6 lanes of traffic?
Yeah.
He said those son of a guns know what they're doing. He said they'll block off the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you'll be riding on the 405
with nobody around.
With nobody anywhere near you.
Yeah.
And they just got to, those people just have to deal with it. Like those, and they're like
peasants, those peasants.
8 motorcycle cops and 4 cars, and he said they know how to do it in California.
When that was going on, did you have the Chips theme song playing in your head? Because
when he was telling me the story,
right
absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of Chips, shout out to Greg Simpson.
Yeah, and Billy Nail.
And Billy Nail.
What?
You
did it.
He did it. Well, we just used to play Chips on the playground in 1st grade.
Nice.
Me and Greg and Billy Nail.
Nice.
Chips to show.
Don't be laughing.
Hey, you talking about blocking off the interstate? I was talking to my students doing some project on interstates, and I want them to look up a significant event or something that happened on the interstate that they had, and that would be one, like blocking off an interstate out there. What's the most significant event you can think of in California where they blocked interstates?
O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. It was clear. That
Yeah,
side
right,
they
it
were
was.
on, that the other side had vehicles on there.
Low speed chase.
Yeah.
And that Bronco.
Yep.
That 93 Bronco. Was it a 93, 94 Bronco? Something like that?
93, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
White.
stuff like that, I'm trying to get them to pull up stuff like that. And that's probably the most significant thing I can ever remember seeing on interstate. But why do you get to ride in the police car?
So, yeah, why am I special enough to get to ride in the police car?
You and the doctor. Why are y'all in the police car?
So
In case they have to deliver a baby, I guess.
My job was I was like in a gray area. I was with one department, but
You crossed over.
Worked a lot with another department, so I was technically in the video department, but my job was like 40% video stuff, 60% operations. So I really worked a lot with the DFO and the chief of staff, football chief of staff, and so I was involved a lot with like hotel logistics and travel logistics and doing stuff that related to video, but a lot of times the DFO would ask me to do some other things to help out with him or with the operations department or like the associate AD of football. They would ask me to do some stuff with to help kind of with general team logistics stuff. And so as a result, because I was always with the team at the hotel, and I always had, I'm not going to say I had significant responsibility because I didn't, but I would just had like, I was just kind of there because I had to be.
So you never got on the team bus?
I did, yeah. I did ride the team bus, but it was rare that I did that. 9 times out of 10, I was either in the lead cop car. If it was a home game, I was going to be in the lead cop car. If it was an away game, I'd make it on the bus. Just because of the situation. It's really complicated, so I don't if I got into it, I'd be sitting here forever trying to explain.
Were you big time down there like you are here? Like everybody knows who Nick Wilson is?
No.
Really?
Now, I mean, like,
so you're a little fish in a big pond at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, you knew it. Like you knew, okay, I'm a student worker and I've got a job to do, and I'm not going to step on anybody's toes.
Sure.
Because I was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, undergrad, working for one of the top football programs in America in the SEC, you know, and at the time, and look.
Hey,
no shade. I'm just saying. And
I still consider him at least.
I do too.
Top. Auburn forever is always going to be a top 15 program at least.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, regardless of the record.
My junior year, we were number 2 in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was the highest we had ever gotten while I was there, and we won a divisional title. You know, I got a divisional championship. It wasn't the conference championship ring because we lost to Georgia anyway. But no, I mean, like I knew people, and people knew me, but it's not like I had a lot of like.
But I guess what I'm saying is like, do the biggest people there know who Nick Wilson is? Like,
I'm not gonna
by
say
name.
I'm not gonna say that.
Like
Jay Jacobs knew me
by name.
Yeah.
Like
before he
pick
left,
up the phone and say, "Get me Nick Wilson."
No, not like that. But like if he saw me, he'd go, "Hey Nick, what's up, man? How you doing? Da, 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 da. Hey, Mr. Jacobs." Da, 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 you know. But it helped because Steve Martin, who was here when I was in school and who you worked with, he and Jay worked with each other at the beginning of their coaching careers at Auburn. They were both strength and conditioning GAs at Auburn together. And so when Jay found out that Steve was my coach and had taught me, you know, it helped. I think that's what helped Jay remember me.
Right. Something that triggered the memories of, Steve, Asheville, Nick.
Yeah.
You and Jimmy Rain?
You know, I met Jimmy Rain one time and just kind of, what did he ask me to help him load his luggage into the bus? I think.
He asked you to help him load some lumber?
He said, no, he said, "Hey, boy, come here. Hey, son, what's your name?" And I introduced myself. He said, "What do you do?" "Hey, can you help me?" He said, "I can't." And he introduced himself to me. He said, "Hey, I'm Jimmy Rain." I said, "I know who you are."
Load his luggage in what?
The bus. Because sometimes big donors would ride on the team bus with the staff and the team and that kind of thing.
Sound like that's what's wrong with the program down there.
Sometimes they're right beside the coach on the sideline, too.
Yeah, that is true.
Not anymore.
With his yellow hat. Anyway.
But yeah, no, you know, nice guy. Like and Dr. Gouge, I ran into him once or twice. He was the president when I was down there, and because he and the board of trustees would go with the team, and they'd sometimes stay at the team hotel on away games. But he never knew me by name. But like the doc, Dr. Goodlett, Mike.
Is every doc named Doc?
I think so.
Okay.
I would just call him Doc.
Well, Andrews was down there too all the time, wasn't he?
Dr. Andrews, I'd hang out. Yeah, he'd be on the
Is he still
sideline.
around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, it was really cool. Like, he would wear this team neutral suit, but he'd always wear a team hat.
Yeah.
But that's because he would switch between the Alabama game and the Auburn game, and he'd always try to make both.
Would he make the Alabama game too? He was always at Auburn.
I always saw him at Auburn.
I always saw him at Auburn, but if he could be at Bama, I think he'd go to Bama. But I think priority was Auburn for him because he was an Auburn guy.
That when him and Lee Mack and all them were at Health South, I mean, that was unbelievable.
They had it
down
rolling,
there.
man.
They had a third doctor down there too. I can't remember his name. That was. I mean, that's like the best
Look,
place in the nation to go.
On game day, y'all, we had a cardiologist. We had Dr. Andrews, who is a orthopedic surgeon. We had like 2 or 3 more orthopedic surgeons. We had a team chiropractor. We had a team general physician, which was Dr. Goodlett, and he was permanent. He was full-time Auburn. He showed up to work every day. Auburn University paid his salary. And then we had, let's see, Andrew, Keith.
But I love going to houses. I love going down there and
maybe.
taking players down there and going with because you never knew who you was going to run into down there. Because
Well,
everybody in
yeah.
the nation, all the athletes, that's where they come to.
Same thing with Andrews now,
Yeah.
because knees and whatnot. He's just world renowned. Everybody comes to Andrews down in Birmingham, and you go and see the memorabilia on his walls of all the famous people that's come through. I mean, I've heard of people running into people.
Our
all the
team
time.
doctor works with him. Our team doctor is under his umbrella for here. Our team Dr. Hyde and Dr. Rogers, both of them.
What about
are-
Dr. Jekyll?
Yeah, I know. There it is. But yeah, our team doctor now, they're both.
Okay.
Dr. Hyde worked at Virginia and the Panthers, and Dr. Rogers worked at
Okay,
Tennessee.
I know you're talking because he was the guy that had the Virginia stuff
Yeah,
on.
that was
Okay,
him,
I
yeah.
got you.
Yeah, our team doctor. He goes from the Carolina Panthers to the Asheville Bulldogs.
Woo! Moving on.
Well, one of our trainers here was,
It's not
I
even
think it
on
was
me. It's not
92.
even on me.
Yeah.
yeah, he was going from, after football season, he was going to the White Sox, I think.
Really?
Be a
Who
trainer
did, who
with
did
them.
he work through?
Health
Well,
South.
oh,
We got all
hell,
ours through Health South.
Richard
time.
M. Scrushy.
Richard M. Scrushy.
Yeah, Dallas County line.
Yeah. The band that Richard Scrushy was in.
Yeah.
Dallas County Line.
Honestly, the reason why I know Richard M. Scrushy by first, middle, initial, and last name
Why?
is because NCAA football back in the day, you'd play as Troy or Troy State as they were known back then. It was always Richard M. Scrushy Stadium, and that's how I've
Yeah,
always remembered
honk
it.
if you like the honky tonk.
Yeah,
That's the #1 song for him.
and
Dallas
can't hold a
County line.
candle.
He saw Richard Scrushy play in Dallas County Line at, where was it?
June Jam.
Was it the
And-
June
Yeah,
Jam?
a couple of times probably.
Think about that. The CEO of Health South was in a band called Dallas County Line, and they performed at the June Jam.
I think I probably saw him somewhere else.
I thought you saw him at that pavilion, that little pole barn
No,
place you
no,
said.
that was Central Alabama Music Park. Got
Yeah,
blown
that's
away by a tornado.
oh,
down
that's
South
what it
Alabama.
was. You were telling me that story.
I don't think they played down there. I didn't see them down there. Well, tell me about the Stallions. What was you trying to tell me today?
Yeah,
The
they're back.
USFL?
The USFL.
Yep.
Okay.
The Birmingham Stallions are
Yep.
back.
When they start?
Skip Holtz is the head coach.
Okay. When are they gonna start playing?
Soon. They just had the draft yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, I think. Are they going to play this spring?
Yes.
So
They're playing this year.
Now what?
They're playing every game in Birmingham up until the playoffs, and then the playoffs and the championship. They're going to move to the Pro Bowl Stadium up in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
What stadium in Birmingham?
They're
Both.
going to use both.
They're going
Both
to use
the Old
Legion.
Gray Lady and Progressive.
And
Or
Progressive.
Now
Pro-
what all
Protect-
other
Protective.
teams? What all other teams that of the old USFL
The
are going to be
General, the
teams?
New Jersey
So
Generals.
you got New Jersey and what about Houston? The
Gamblers.
The Texas Gamblers.
So they're basically bringing back
Yeah.
those old teams.
And I didn't know this, but it's all Fox. It's Fox Sports.
Yes.
Fox Sports owns the league.
Right.
So it's all going to be televised on Fox.
And I saw something today that the NFL and the XFL are going to work together with any new rules and
Officiating, safety
equipment.
protocols.
Yeah, all that
The
kind of stuff.
XFL.
So the XFL came out in 2000, 2001, flopped after 1 year. Birmingham had the
Thunderbolts, right?
Bolts.
Yeah.
Okay.
It flopped. Well, they brought it back in 2000, pre-pandemic. Got about 5 games in. It was doing okay. About 5 games in, pandemic hit. League went bankrupt because of it. Well, Vince McMahon, who owned the league, sold the league for pennies on the dollar to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. So Dwayne Johnson is now, the president, head of, however that works out, of the XFL, and he struck a deal with the NFL to, hey, we're going to be your guinea pig for all this stuff that you want
Which
to
is
look into.
basically setting the XFL up to be NFL's
successful.
minor leagues.
Right.
And
And
that's
they
how
need
it needs
that.
to work. That's how it needs to work.
Right, because you look at NFL, you've got 32 teams. All right, you're going to have 32 quarterbacks, maybe, a few others sprinkled in backup quarterbacks that either have been pretty good or have really good potential to be pretty good. But then you've got everybody else with their second string and or third string quarterbacks, and I'm using quarterbacks as an example here, that just don't have a lot of game time experience outside of college. So the biggest complaint was, hey, if we can get these guys some more playing time, they might actually work out and be something. Well, they don't have a minor leagues for football, so this could kind of end up being their minor league.
And it's going to be interesting to see the USFL and the XFL compete.
Right.
Because, they're going to –
XFL's not coming back till next year, though.
They're not competing with the NFL.
No.
They're competing to be that minor league.
That number two
League
number one
for,
spring.
for the NFL.
So XFL is spring league.
It will be spring league.
And the USFL is going to be a spring league.
Yes.
Because USFL was spring league, and then they tried to compete with the NFL in the
Right,
fall.
right.
And they blame a lot of that on Donald Trump, don't they? Did y'all seen that 30 for 30?
They do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They do. Said that he was so adamant about going against the NFL and trying to topple the NFL that basically led to his downfall.
All right, so the Stallions, they're probably the most successful football team Birmingham's ever had, probably.
Yeah.
Well, the Iron was pretty good when it was the American Alliance of Football or whatever that was.
Yeah, with Trent Richardson.
Yeah, the Birmingham Iron was pretty – they were doing well before that whole thing fell apart.
I didn't see them.
They just lost funding.
When was that? Birmingham Iron. When was that?
2 years ago,
2
3
years
years ago.
2018, I believe.
2018, 2019.
Okay, so
It
you
was
had the
2019
Stallions.
because I remember watching a Birmingham Iron game in my classroom, and the next day watching Auburn play in the March Madness tournament on their way to the Final Four.
Birmingham
that they
Iron.
had. The Birmingham Iron.
Now you had the Stallions. Then you had a Birmingham Fire team.
Yeah.
The XFL team was the Bolts.
The Bolts.
And you had the Steel Dogs. That was Arena.
And
And now look,
the Barracudas.
Yeah.
Remember the Barracudas?
Did you
from
go see them?
I did not. But CFL.
Yeah, I went to see them a couple times.
The Americans. Don't forget the Americans.
You can show your high school coaching card down there, and they give you a couple tickets to the Barracudas games. I went to a couple of them.
Really?
Yeah, when they were in town. Canadian Football League. Yeah. Barracudas.
Yeah, there was a big thing of trying to, if they were going to do a league with the CFL, that they wanted to try to Americanize it to where it wasn't the 120 yards and everything. Yeah, I had a voice crack. Yeah, I know, it happens, okay? I need to clear my throat, and I'm trying to be a professional, okay? Leave me alone, Aaron. I don't like you anymore, Aaron.
So they talked about making it 100 yards?
Yeah, they were trying to make it, they were trying to Americanize the CFL, and the CFL just wouldn't buy into it, so they just uprooted the team. They uprooted the team.
Well, it was still 120 yards long,
him?
wasn't it?
I don't know.
Or 110. Wasn't it still the same length here?
No. It's
wasn't?
120.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer. You can have, I think, an extra person. I think it's 12.
Yes,
12.
Two in motion, I think.
And then two in motion, and then you can run towards the a lot of them. They'll orbit motion and run to the line of scrimmage. You have basically a fast,
I
a
went to
quick
a couple of those
start.
games.
I almost bought on numerous occasions a Birmingham Americans, the A shirt.
Yeah, I've got a Birmingham Stallions.
And
it's a retro. It's a retro shirt.
I've almost bought an original Stallion shirt too. I think Kevin Moore's got an original Stallions shirt.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have a jersey or a shirt from every one of those teams.
But see, remember whenever USFL came out, Herschel Walker signed with USFL and had at one point the richest contract in professional football at like $1 million a year at one point. And everybody's like, wow, they're really somebody. They're paying Herschel Walker $1 million a year.
Yeah, he was on that Generals team.
Mm-hmm, and it just kind of forced the NFL to step up its game, because people were legitimately leaving. Reggie White got his start in the USFL.
That's right. I forgot about that.
They were legitimately leaving college and going to the USFL and just completely going away from the NFL. Mm-hmm. So, and then to me, that's kind of, a Kickstarter to kind of today's NFL, if you really think about it, with all these contracts and stuff. But, again, there's no competition for them to compete against, so now it's just competition amongst their own teams.
Yeah.
But
I think that's good, though. I think the things like the XFL, the USFL are good for the NFL because
they're
like,
good
okay,
if they can get the support.
Yeah. Well, it's
and
okay.
TV
We got to
runs
be on our A
everything.
game.
Yeah.
We got to. Well, that's why Fox is bringing back the USFL. Fox bought the rights to the old USFL league, and that's why they're bringing it back.
But see, every time that a league is owned by one entity, a la XFL with Vince McMahon and now this version, the USFL with Fox, it's not done great because you've got one sole owner of every team. So, they're having to foot the bill in this case for 8 different teams. Whereas in the NFL, you've got one owner for one team. Take Jerry Jones, whatever his, salary for all his players, and then,
the front office,
right.
The organization.
But I think Fox has approached it the right way of putting it all in one area. So now you cut down on all your travel costs. Yep. You cut down on all your logistics for your programming guys. It may work out.
It's going to be huge for Birmingham. It's going to be huge for this area.
Yeah,
I think.
I was a little upset that they pulled the playoffs, but I know what June weather in Birmingham can be too. Yeah. So go somewhere a little bit cooler. I get that. So
the last time I checked on the Cowboys franchise, last time I checked on buying it, it was worth $4 billion.
You gonna buy it?
Well, I was thinking about it.
What about David Letterman? Could he buy it?
I don't know.
I don't think Letterman could touch it.
The only reason I say that is because he's wearing a late show hat. But where'd you get that hat?
Well, I actually ordered it from Rupert G's Hello Deli.
Okay.
Online.
That's what I say. You got a Rupert G's shirt on here too.
Yeah, I had a little trouble though.
You got a shot of that?
I don't know. Yeah. I think I was actually emailing with Rupert G because he wouldn't send me my stuff. Ordered a shirt and a hat, and I never did get it. So I think I got it through PayPal. So they have a
receipt or whatnot.
A thing where you can file a complaint or whatever. And I think he was emailing me himself, Rupert G. So I finally got it. Got the shirt and 2 hats. He sent me an extra hat. Rupert G's Hello Deli. He was on the show all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Yep.
That's a great story. I love it when you talk.
I've never been to New York City. Have you ever been to New York City?
No, but I want to go. I want to go just for the food. I just want to go Little Italy.
Like, I don't want to drive in it.
No,
I've been to state of New York a couple of times. I've been to Buffalo. I've been over to.
I've heard Buffalo's nice.
Buffalo is nice. It Snowbank's 8 foot taller where you look, but
that's a long way from New York City, though, isn't it?
It is
other than the state.
Yeah. But I've crossed over and went to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. Really, really neat.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go to New York right now.
Not right now, no.
Because it's cold.
I just don't want to go.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
No reason.
It's dangerous right now, isn't it?
Is it? What's dangerous about it?
Well, the streets. And when it starts to go down on the street, I don't stop till it's finished. It's dangerous.
Yeah. What's dangerous about it?
Well, people getting pushed in the subways and stuff.
Who's doing that?
Bad people, man.
Yeah, bad people.
We need Spider-Man to help save us.
He's getting his GED. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Shut up, Aaron.
Well, that's just not on.
Fart and he would laugh.
I could.
Like, you could die and he would laugh.
Yeah, well.
That's not on my list to do. Go to
die?
New York.
Oh, go to New York. Okay.
You probably would die if you went to New York.
Well, yeah, that's your whole point, right? Don't go to New York because you'll die.
I don't know why
I don't know. Washington's pretty bad, too,
yeah,
right
I
now.
don't really want to go there either.
Washington State or D.C.?
D.C.
D.C.? I've been to D.C. many times.
Really? I've never been.
Many times meaning 2. But yeah.
That's not many.
That's several.
Well,
where are you?
It's more than one.
It's only a couple.
It's a couple, yeah.
It's a couple.
I've been to D.C. a couple times.
Yeah. Where are you wanting to go eat in New York?
Little Italy. Anywhere in Little Italy. Anywhere that when I went to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, I was there 8 days, so I had plenty of time to find those nook and cranny places in the French Quarter.
Be careful.
And
somebody threatened to kill me in the French Quarter one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Please
tell that.
Well, go ahead with your story.
No. I found all the great places to eat. But
where's the best place?
Charterhouse is pretty good, and it's spelled C-A-R-T-R. No.
Apostrophe
C-A-T-R-E-S.
Chartres.
Chartres, but they pronounce it charter.
Yeah, well, because they're French, and we all hate the French.
Well, the Cajun.
I hate the French.
But then there's a really good restaurant right there at the corner of Jackson Square by that cathedral. I can't remember the name of it. It's really
sports
good.
Bar?
No, it's a restaurant.
Okay.
Now, there is a bar that I went to. It was actually an old slave market, and it's where Andrew Jackson planned the defense of New Orleans in the War of 1812, right across from the Louisiana Supreme Court. That's really, really good. Got a burger from there one day. And then on the opposite side of that little square, on the other side of the Louisiana State Supreme Court, there's a little restaurant, and I had a great po' boy there. sat kind of like, of course, French doors, old classic French doors opened up into the cobblestone streets, and there was a guy across the street on the corner playing a violin. Dude, I felt like I was in frickin' France. I mean, it was awesome. Me and a couple buddies, we were eating po' boys, and there was a breeze, and there were drapes hanging on the either side of the French doors, and they were kind of waving in. It was like a scene out of a daggum movie. It was awesome. And you're like, I'm in Louisiana right now? There's no freaking way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, Carrie and I went down there a couple of years ago, and we had a good time.
I really enjoyed New Orleans.
End of story.
Yeah, I really did. I just like walking around, seeing the history. You know, of course, I got a beignet from
That place.
What's it called?
Court Street.
No, it's I can't remember.
Carrie is screaming at her device.
I was about to
right
say
now.
there are a ton of people yelling in their car.
we
With their
apologize. We're
headphones
dumb.
on. All four of them just yelling.
Cafe Dumont.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think.
I went to Ralph and Cacoo's.
What?
I like that
What?
place.
Don't
I like
cuss.
it.
What?
It's a restaurant.
God
Went
bless
in
you.
there.
Ralph and who?
Ralph and Cacoo's. That's where I went to eat right before Alabama played Miami in the Sugar Bowl in '92. And I had.
So did you go to the game, or were you just?
Yeah, I
down
went to
there?
the game.
Oh wow.
Went to that game.
That was the game you laid with the.
Oh, hey. No. Hush.
I don't know what's going on, but I want to hear this story now.
No.
Not laid with. Sorry,
No,
met.
hush. Just be quiet.
You met. What's his name? Treadwell, whatever his name was.
Hey, but yeah, we got. I got black and mahi and like a shrimp sauce, and who taught me into getting it was
George
these.
Teague.
No, these.
Oh.
George Teague. I didn't see him. Now he. No, it was two Philadelphia Eagles fans. They were there to watch the Saints the next day, and they were just talking about how good it was. So I got that. So I eat that every time Alabama plays in the national championship. I always eat black and mahi
There you go.
for the game.
Did you this last time?
No.
And we lost.
There you go.
And we lost.
Yeah.
Or they lost. There's no we. I never.
I
went
saw
to school there.
the ball drop on New Year's Eve on that Jack's Brewery.
So
Yeah, I did. I was there. I was there for around New Year's, and that was man. New Orleans is crazy around New Year's.
So two things: when y'all go out somewhere, do y'all like tend to talk to some of the locals and just
absolutely
kind of
yeah.
chit chat a little bit? I do. I chit chat with the waiter a little bit or the waitress and trying to figure out what's good, what's decent around there, just overall the whole area. And my second thing is going back to the we and our and not my team because I didn't go to college there. Why is it that is a big thing with Auburn people?
I don't know because I discovered. I think it's just a chip on everybody's shoulder. Because now here's the history is that when the Alabama legislature forbade both teams to play one another back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, whenever it was, Alabama during that time period captured most of the state. In so much that captured most of the state as a fan base.
As a fan base, okay.
And Auburn did not. And so as a result, now when we look down, what was that? Several generations ago, now most of the state geographically and population-wise roots for the Crimson Tide compared to Auburn.
Okay.
And so I think it's another little brother chip on our shoulder thing where you've got all these from the Auburn perspective, all these randos cheering on Alabama, whereas from the perspective of an Auburn fan, you've got these dedicated. Now, look, I'm not saying I agree with this perspective, but I'm just telling you what is going through their minds.
But it's like you can't be a fan. You didn't go to school there. Well, I know plenty of Auburn people that didn't go to school at Auburn but are Auburn fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it works both ways.
Chastise me for being a fan of a team I didn't go to school for. I mean, if that's the case, I'd be a team for nobody.
Yeah.
Or Gadsden State at
be a Cardinal fan, huh?
Woo,
State Cardinals.
Yeah.
Harvard on the hill.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, I never understood that either, and I was an Alabama fan before I went to Auburn and did all that. But as an Alabama fan, I mean, I heard that every now and then from Auburn fans, and I was just kind of like, just shut up.
Yeah,
just
it's like that
because there are people that root for you that didn't go to Auburn and never will go to Auburn.
Right.
So just hush,
Okay. I just wonder why it was a thing, and it seems to be a lot with the Auburn fan. And I'm not dissing them.
No, I agree with you.
it comes more from the Auburn fan base than any other. But I'm in Alabama, so I've got a very
For our German and international fans, if you don't know what we're talking about, look up the Iron Bowl rivalry. Iron Bowl rivalry. And
I got my master's from Alabama, so I'm all right.
Woo, Roll Tide.
I just have a bachelor's. I just got my bachelor's.
Hey,
War
when
Eagle.
I can't remember if this was
I
Mardi
said it.
Gras or if it was New Year's Eve
Mobile.
when I was down in New Orleans.
Oh, sorry.
When
You said Mardi Gras.
well, there's nowhere to go to the restroom.
Yeah, the
And
street
so-
apparently.
Well, see, I had ventured off on a side street
Oh goodness.
away from the crowd, and that's when I got threatened. Somebody threatened to shoot me if I didn't get away
Now,
from their vehicle.
What? Okay,
I had
so
to
we can
zip up real quick and get out of there.
So I was about to say. So you were channeling your inner George Patton.
yeah,
Yeah.
boy, yeah.
You crossed the Rhine.
Yeah.
No photographers,
But
though.
I didn't get to.
But there was a pistol.
I didn't get to
Yeah.
relieve myself. I had to get out of there.
Did you ever relieve yourself?
I'm sure I did somewhere.
Yeah, right there when he threatened me.
Yeah. When you met Treadwell.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, was it Treadwell?
No,
Oh, okay.
just go ahead.
Okay, he
Go
ain't gonna,
ahead.
he ain't
You
gonna,
ain't gonna tell
We'll
it.
tell you once we. Yeah. He don't want to talk about it.
No.
we gotta
Oh,
have,
I was hoping he would bump in and talk about it.
we gotta have like an episode of just forbidden Murphree stories.
Yeah.
Like
And just
stories
not
that,
air it. Record it, but not ever air it.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that after the game, after the national championship game,
Yeah.
we
92,
ran in.
92.
It was real late.
Gotta specify.
It was real late after the game, and we did run into an Alabama player in our hotel, eating breakfast, probably 1:30, 2 o'clock, and he told us where the Alabama team was. So me and one other person went over there, told us where the hotel was, what floor they was on.
Hold on, so
everything.
there's a random Alabama player that's came to your hotel.
Well, yeah, he's in my hotel eating breakfast, eating in the restaurant late. So
Okay.
he told us where the team was, what hotel they were at, and everything, what floor they were on. So we just went straight over there, and they were there, all of them, most of them.
Celebrating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
celebrate.
You shake hands.
Oh yeah, met a lot of people.
Okay.
So we was just there with the team
Yeah.
after the game.
So,
and that's the story you didn't want to tell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But well, it was just me and that other person in the team. That's all that was in there. Any other fans or anything around? Maybe some girlfriends, but that's about it.
That's a good story. That's good stuff. New Orleans, the keeper of secrets.
Skeletons.
Yeah. You know, and I didn't really like when I was in New Orleans. I don't know. I was there to kind of take it all in. I didn't really like do anything crazy. Even though I was in college, I know that's hard to believe, but if you know me, you'll know that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's just not my personality.
Right.
I'm just not going to do that. But
I
I had a really good time.
do y'all have like stories or not necessarily stories? Have y'all ever taken trips to places that you just really didn't enjoy? Like for me, you know, when I
Yeah.
went to Montreal, I hated Montreal.
Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay.
And I'm not saying that I hated Atlanta,
Just
but
you didn't have a good experience.
when you go from the Sugar Bowl,
hated. Where's that? Hey, put that camera on me. Hated Atlanta.
when you go from the Sugar
Hated.
Bowl to the Peach Bowl, nothing can compete with
Yeah,
the Sugar Bowl.
you're right.
You know, because Atlanta's very suburban, urban.
Yeah.
You know, whereas New Orleans has that a lot of that character in the French Quarter.
Mhm. There's
And
an identity.
There's definitely a culture there.
Right.
It's like whereas Atlanta is just kind of this hodgepodge of
well, it's a melting
various.
pot
Yeah,
now.
it's-
Yeah.
And
But
it's not
I've
really
heard
even
Metro
southern.
Atlanta is like 6 million people now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
crazy.
5 million or more.
It's
I don't-
2 million. I think he's
Yeah,
right.
It's
It's
like
five
eight.
million.
It's like 8 counties.
There's 4 million people in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
6 million people in
Yeah.
in Metro Atlanta.
Yeah.
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 I don't even want to drive through there anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I think I've done it for the last time.
But like, and that was one of the things that I didn't like about Atlanta. It's like to get from here to here,
It'll take you 2 hours.
I had to get an Uber, drive, or if I wanted to walk, I could walk. But if I wanted to walk, it was going to take me,
as long.
you know, whereas New Orleans, everything's right there. Everything's right there in New Orleans. It's so walkable.
But I don't want to go back to New Orleans though either. I have no
I'd
desire
love to go
down
back.
there.
No, I wouldn't want to go back for, like I said, to party. But I'd like to go back again to take in the history, because there's so much history in New Orleans.
There is.
So much history.
There is.
And a lot of it, when I was there the first time, I just kind of walked up on and didn't even know.
Sure.
And so
I have taken in no history on my trips to New Orleans.
well,
None at all.
yeah.
Somewhere I really enjoyed was Savannah. You talking about history? That's a place with history and stuff. I really enjoyed my trip to Savannah.
You know, and you saying Savannah, I want to go back to Savannah. I think I've been, but I was way too young to remember.
We went in June, and I don't know what it was. There was like a cool spell in June, so we had a fantastic thing. It was not hot and sweaty and just miserable walking around.
June in Savannah sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I've never been to Savannah.
Really?
Maybe we need to go into a podcast there one day.
I tell you, one trip that I did take that.
He just blew that off.
yeah, he
didn't
did.
Yeah, I wanted to go
Julie,
to Savannah.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Let him go.
I went to Houston one time, and maybe we just didn't do this right. But we went to see. I went to the Astrodome. Me and my dad went out there. Went to the Astrodome and watched the Astros play the Montreal Expos. So we did that.
Go
That was
Expos.
pretty cool.
My favorite baseball team.
No, Houston. It was a good game. Houston
You know,
won,
Canada.
but the guy that was playing. You talk about Atlanta traffic. The guy that was pitching for the Expos was Pascual Perez, and he's the guy that went to the Braves that missed his start because he was just driving around the bypass, I think, and couldn't find the
Couldn't
stadium.
figure out where to go.
Yeah, couldn't figure out where to go.
That was when it was Fulton County Stadium, right?
Right.
I guess so. Fulton County couldn't find it, and then we went to the Space Center out there. What Space Center is in Houston? Houston Control.
Yeah, the mission controls out there.
Houston Control, and we didn't take an official tour or anything, which we should have done. This is the part we probably didn't do right. We just started walking around. I think we were in places we weren't supposed to be.
They just let you just
out there. Well, we just did it. We were just walking around everywhere.
Pre-security.
Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to be out there.
That's hilarious. What year is this?
89, I guess.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah.
So David is basically out there pulling Grandpa Joe, just walking through Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Where am I?
Exactly.
What a terrible
yeah.
character. I hated Grandpa Joe in that whole entire story. Like
The first one or the second one?
the first one. Like
Why?
because he's like, I'm bedridden, I can't do anything. Oh, you're going to the chocolate factory? I can go. Let's go. Woo.
Well, yeah.
But
it
I
was
can't provide for my family, my daughter or daughter-in-law or whatever Charlie's mom is, and then Charlie's over here eating cabbage soup for freaking dinner. But hey, did you get the golden ticket? Oh, I'm better. Let's go. Take your Grandpa Joe. I can do this now. Stupid Grandpa Joe. I hated Grandpa
You're
Joe.
so cynical.
I am.
It's supposed to be the magic of the experience and the hope that something's going to change that awakens him from his bedriddenness.
Grandpa Joe is a mooch.
Well,
He's a mooch.
all right then. The kid that played Charlie, that was his only acting credit.
You've told me that before.
Have I?
Yeah, not
That
on the
was
podcast.
That was his only acting credit. He would grow up to become a veterinarian and he never acted again. That was his only role.
Another place I've been that I really enjoy, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I like to go there.
You can go and take the tour of the stadium and everything. It's got that place in itself's got a really rich history. Very easy airport. I think it's got 3 terminals. You just walk in, walk through.
I wonder
No
why.
big deal. Very small.
No offense, Green Bay.
No, I mean it's a great city. I enjoyed it.
So you were just vacationing? There,
No,
just went
I
through-
actually had to go for work. The place that I work now, like within 2 weeks, they said, "Hey, we got an issue up in Green Bay. You got to go." And I'm like, I've only been on a plane once before, and now you're sending me
This was before the Mexico trip.
way before the Mexico trip.
Yeah, I
Mexico.
guess I would like to watch a game there. That'd be one of my places I would like to go
Good
watch
luck.
a game.
Good luck,
Like-
because you can give your ticket, you can wheel your tickets up to your first cousin. So that's what happens, and like most everybody's like just legacy ticket holders.
But is that something you'd like to do, to sit in the snow in
Absolutely.
Green Bay?
I
and watch a
would
game?
just to
Go
say
to
I
a
did
snow
it.
game.
Yeah.
Lambeau.
Yeah.
Wear a cheesehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, you could almost do the same thing in Buffalo, but that wind whips in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It is awful. It will pierce you.
Right off the lake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd want to get the full experience.
Right.
Snow, sitting in the snow.
Yeah.
Like
Now,
when I bought a cheesehead when I was up there, an authentic Green Bay Packer cheesehead when I was up there.
I really enjoyed Charleston.
So
So
I've been, but I haven't like explored. I went again for a work trip.
a friend of mine and
Charlotte, never mind,
her
Charleston, I'm sorry.
family owns a beach house on the Outer Banks in North Carolina, Nags Head specifically, which is, if you know anything about the Outer Banks, that's right next door to Kitty Hawk. So when we got there, I got to go to the brother. I've been there twice. It's freaking awesome. But anyway, on our way up there, I told her, I'm like, hey, why don't we go the scenic route, and why don't we spend a night in Charleston? Let's go through Georgia, go through South Carolina, take the scenic route, go through Charleston and I'll get us an Airbnb, stay the night in Charleston. So our Airbnb in the middle of Charleston, it's an old converted slave house. The actual house is on the front of the property, and it's where this family lives, and they turned the old kitchen house and slave house into some Airbnbs. Great, nice little, like, wake up, come out onto the porch. We were on the second level of the house. Come out onto the porch. You could see over Charleston. Awesome, man. And talk about a city that was walkable. And we went at the beginning of the pandemic, but it was before everything had shut down.
Right.
But people weren't traveling. It was when people had kind of stopped traveling. And
Right.
so we basically had the city to ourselves. And cobblestone streets everywhere. You just walk everywhere. Like, we went all over Charleston. And if you know anything about Charleston, it's kind of like Manhattan in that it's kind of like this peninsula that kind of gets narrower and narrower. But the more narrow it gets, the older the city gets, and the more dense it gets.
Right.
And so the more we walked down into old Charleston, original Charleston, the better it got, man.
Sure.
And, then you're walking down.
Old money, too. Like, you talk about, like, those old port towns like that.
God,
old
man.
Savannah. Like, you see,
Yes.
you go to the Bonaventure graveyard out there, just, like, marble, big, huge marble gravestones and stuff. Like, it's just monuments and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, you got north of Broad and south of Broad. That's kind of, so south of Broad is like that old money
Yeah.
in Charleston. And it was great. Great experience, ton of history. I wanted to go to Fort Sumter so bad, couldn't stand it, but we didn't have time to go. The USS, what's it called? Is it the Hornet?
There's a carrier
What is it? Yeah, what's that
up there,
carrier
but that's
called?
not in Charleston, is it? Is that in Charleston?
It's right next. Well,
is that
it's
at the
not,
naval shipyard?
It's not technically in Charleston, but it's right across the river from
Yeah,
Charleston.
I think I've seen that carrier
It's like
before.
15, 20 minutes from Charleston. And you can see it. You're in Charleston, you can see it. It's parked right across the way there. But got some great food, man. I mean, just everywhere you go, just history.
The Hornet was sunk in World War II.
What am I thinking?
No, that's
Is it
not
the
the
yellow
Hornet.
jacket. It's some sort of flying insect that stings.
A carrier, no. Hey,
I'm sorry.
Red Wasp.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is the Wasp.
I think the Hornet got sunk.
Maybe
Hey,
it is the Wasp.
One of those foam blocks of cheese, didn't that save a guy's life in a plane crash one time? It did, didn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I've not
don't know.
heard that story.
I think it did. Serious, I think that happened.
Look that up for us.
Now,
Aaron,
one of
see
the
if that
worst
happened.
trips I ever took was to Charleston, but I had a good one up there too. I walked in the ceremony when they buried that Hunley crew
Yeah.
up there.
Right.
Why was it bad? Why was the
2000
trip?
I don't want to talk about it. It was a family trip. It's just a family trip.
Treadwell?
It was bad. No, he wasn't there.
Okay.
Treadwell, I don't know who that is. I don't know who Treadwell is.
I think it was that player he met.
No.
Tied the dog to the bumper, and he kept up for the first 2 miles or so.
I know somebody that actually did that.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, should have said that. That's somebody's looking at their dog going, "Oh my gosh, I'll never do that to you." No, I know somebody that did that. Anyway,
One other place.
they felt bad.
Mystic, Connecticut, where like Mystic Pizza and all that
Yeah.
is. That's a pretty neat little town up there. I was up there for some training in a class up there, and it's right next to New London, which is where the submarine shipyard is in New London, Connecticut.
I've heard like there's this stereotype about people from Connecticut where they're real wealthy, and it's sort of like that New York elite that have moved out to Connecticut and they're real entitled. Like, I don't know if that's true. I've never been to Connecticut, so no offense if you are from
I
Connecticut.
got it more from Massachusetts than I did Connecticut.
Well, I've what they say about people from Massachusetts.
They're
They call them mass holes. I mean, that's what they call them.
not explicit.
It isn't. It's not a.
There's
it's
an
not a-
M on the front.
Exactly. Yeah.
Assholes.
He said it.
That's good.
Yeah. Have you never heard that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah. That's a thing. That's a term. I don't. They call us Hicks. So more power to you.
I'm proud of it.
I know a buddy of mine. He went to the
No
Alabama UCLA game back in 2000. Yeah, 99, 2000. When we played out there, Freddie Millens returned the opening kick, and then we didn't score another point. Said he got into it with one of the UCLA fans out there. He's like, look at this. What do you call him? Hillbilly.
Yeah.
Look at this hillbilly. Look at this hillbilly. Hillbilly. Ha ha ha, hillbilly. And like my friend turned around and said, "I'm not a hillbilly." He said, "I'm a redneck."
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know why that reminded me of that, but
That's something that I always enjoy. I always enjoy talking to people that like think I'm stupid because of the way I talk.
Well, because you're from Alabama.
Well, not only that, but because I'm from Alabama, but I'm from a small town. Because of the way I talk,
Right.
You know, I talk
You're
slow.
drawn out, slow, twangy.
Yeah, and
voice.
Shout out to you, Hammy. Kavitz. But yeah, you know, has anybody ever kind of like you can tell they've prejudged you based off the way you talk 100%. That you're an idiot?
I went to Pittsburgh one time and had to go and do an audit for a potential company client out there. And the guy, you know, they had this whole big welcome party and everything. He knew I was coming from Alabama, and like we're sitting there talking, and he just stops in the middle of the conversation. He said, "I just got to say, like, where are you from?" And I said, "Alabama." And he said, "Born and raised?" I said, "Born, raised, and still living there." And he said, "You don't sound like you're from Alabama." I said, "I mean, what did you expect?" I mean, and he's like, "I guess I just expected, you know, twangy and, you know, real Southern, drawn out." And like, he even did that in his Philadelphia or his Pennsylvania voice.
Yeah. Like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had. I don't know that people prejudge me, but I've had people in a parking lot, like at the Talladega racetrack, like from Michigan. They told me they just wanted to talk to me, to hear me talk. And I told them a good place to go eat and everything too. But I mean, you know, you never know. Somebody from Canada might pull up. I've had that before. They pull up beside you, Michigan, all over the place.
And that's happened to me only once before, where I met somebody not from here. Where were they from? I think they were from like Montana.
Yeah.
And they said, and we were just having this nice conversation, and it was at Shaw's. And this was years ago though, and they said, you know, they were asking questions about the town, and you know, they were just passing through on their way to Birmingham for business, coming from Atlanta or coming from Knoxville. They had to go to Knoxville and then come down
through
to
31.
Birmingham. Yeah. Come down. They were coming down 59, and they just stopped off randomly at Shaw's to come get something to eat, which is a local barbecue restaurant where we live. And we got to I don't know how we got to talking, but we got to talking, and towards the end of the conversation, when we had kind of developed a rapport with one another, he said, "Man, I just want to listen to you talk. Like, can you just keep talking? I just want." He said,
"Read the menu."
This is gonna sound
tater wedges.
This is gonna sound weird, but I really want to call my wife and just listen to you talk.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Let her listen to you talk is what. Sorry, that's what I'm gonna say. But yeah, I know. I was, but
So
I mean, he was a nice
No one
guy.
can hear you, Aaron.
He
Shut
want
up.
to take me home with him then.
I mean, he had a wife. Well, I don't know. Some people are. Anyway,
Probably
we're not
still
going to go
is.
down that rabbit hole.
Easy.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
No more sticky finger talk, okay?
Yeah, stickyfingersrestaurant.com.
.com.
June Jam.
Let's go.
Let's go. We're going. Bring it back.
One last thing. Talking about mass holes. I've told you this story before. We used to have a guy that worked for us that was from Boston, real deep.
I love this story. Yeah.
And
what was his name?
Jim.
From Boston.
From Boston.
If you're from Boston, tell us how bad our accents are.
Yeah, because we won't judge.
Yeah.
So Jim worked in our shipping and receiving, and he always wore khakis all the time. And one day I just asked him, I said, "Jim, what are you wearing?" He said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, what covers your pants? What are they? He said, "They're pants." I said, No. What kind of pants? He goes, "They're khakis." And I said, "Okay." So then I took my car keys out and said, "What are these?" He goes, "Those are khakis." And I said, "What are you wearing?" He goes, "Khakis." Khakis. He's like, "You don't see that they sound the same when you say." He said, "Yeah, I understand that. It's khakis. They're khakis and khakis. It's the same thing. Khakis. Yeah, it's funny."
Did you get him to say salsa and salsa?
No,
that?
no, that'd been funny though. Salsa.
Seltzer. You want some seltzer
Want some
water?
Salsa water. Or you want some salsa water?
Out of the bubbler?
Uh,
Which is actually just a water fountain.
yeah,
but
pretty much.
Aaron's, are you good over there, Aaron? I'm doing great. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's get to recommendations. So, what are we going to start with? Who wants to start?
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got one. Carrie, my wife, my lovely wife, roped me into a docu-series. It was a three-part documentary It's called Sasquatch, and it's on Hulu. And I thought that it was going to be about Sasquatch. So without completely ruining it, basically there's this old stoner who is a journalist that goes undercover and everything. Well, during his 20s or so, he worked at a cannabis farm up in California, and he remembers that this guy comes in and says, Bigfoot killed these 3 Hispanic men. And he's like, I'm trying to find out what happened, if it was really Bigfoot or what. Well, so he goes through this whole entire thing. It turns out that
It was racially motivated.
Aaron just ruined the story.
Well,
Aaron just go ahead. Recommendation.
hey, I need to tell one thing. In a previous episode, we were talking about that 18-wheeler coming down the Gals Hill. And
Yeah.
almost hitting the courthouse and everything. My mother was telling me the other day.
Code Blue.
Yeah, I was talking to her about that event, and she told me that guy came into their office after it happened and
That's a great story.
called his boss, I guess out of state, and he was talking to his boss. He said, I'm in this little town in Alabama, and I've just hit every DAMN car in town. That's what he told his boss. And then she said that a piano, somebody dropped a piano at the light one time too, and it just smashed into a million pieces.
Shattered it to bits.
Right at the light. All right, recommendation.
Here we go. You good? Yeah, okay.
What was that?
Clint's
I ain't got my glasses. What did it say? Fire Festival?
No.
Yeah, Fire Festival.
Which one?
Both of them.
Because you've watched both.
Yeah, on Netflix and Hulu. I watched it a while back, but it
I
was
remember
it
you
was
and I
real
talking
good.
about this. Yeah.
It was real good.
Which documentary is better?
Well, I watched one on Amazon first, and I thought it was better. But then the one on Hulu has the actual guy that tried to put on that concert on there on Hulu. But I like the one on Netflix better, probably. It's crazy.
Is it on Netflix or Amazon?
It's on Netflix and Hulu, both. There's one.
You said. I'm sorry.
Did I say Amazon?
Yeah, you said Amazon.
Oh, it's on Netflix and Hulu.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I wasn't going to jump in and correct you because that was just rude.
There's some shade. So I'm going. I appreciate that recommendation. If you don't know what the Fire Festival is, look up those documentaries. I'm going to recommend a song by Stephen Wilson Jr., not related to me, possibly, maybe. I don't know. Wish he was. Titled Hometown. Really good. Look it up on Spotify or Apple Music. It's really, really good. Great kind of country throwback song.
Who does it now?
Stephen Wilson Jr. You probably enjoy it.
Hometown. I ain't never
Hometown.
heard it.
Very nostalgic. When I get nostalgic, it's one that I'd like to throw on. He's still laughing over there.
How old is it? That song?
It is. It's not old. It might be. It's not. It doesn't look like it. But let's see. Song credits. It's written by Marv Green, Tony Lane, and Stephen Wilson Jr. So produced by Benjamin West and Scotty Murray and Stephen Wilson Jr. So it doesn't say when it came out. I'm not sure how old the song is, but yeah.
You've been on a music kick.
I have. I enjoy music. It's fun. It's fun stuff. So we're gonna make the mistake of letting our intern / associate producer Aaron have a recommendation. Aaron, don't embarrass us.
Okay, so my recommendation is this guy. His name is David Finch. I've been following his work for a while. He's a comic book artist.
Oh, here
Makes
we
a
go.
bunch of cool artwork. I think he's a pretty cool guy. So he always does videos. He does Monday night drawings or whatever, and they're really good. I think it's pretty cool.
That's a good recommendation.
Yeah, nobody cares, but appreciate it.
That's good. Finch.
Clint, I would like you to finish your story, please.
Nope.
Please.
What's the name of it, Clint? What's the name of that show you're talking about?
Ask Aaron. He knows.
No,
It's called Sasquatch, right? Sasquatch.
That's
It's
all
a
it was.
documentary.
Finish it.
Hulu?
Hulu. Documentary.
I'm so
Hulu.
done with this episode.
2020 was when that song came out. Hometown. Stephen Wilson Jr. So I'm just kidding, Aaron. We appreciate your recommendation. But Clint is
Thank
done. We're done. Clint, are you anything else? Any parting words for Aaron?
None that I can say here.
I was going to make a comment about your glasses from last night, but I'm not going to because you're already in a bad mood. Because Aaron,
Go ahead.
So I won't
Hold
say
on,
they
give-
look like
give-
Drew Carey
give me-
glasses,
give me
but
the little microphone, and I'll say, lowest bid wins.
okay. Well, I was just gonna make the same joke Hammy made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did he make it on the podcast yesterday?
No.
It was after the
I think it was
podcast.
after the podcast.
We had a really good time yesterday. We recorded a podcast and then ate Blackstone pizza.
Blackstone, was it good?
It was really good.
I cooked some chicken wings.
We had the
over
big,
the
yeah, and you never gave us any.
No, I ate them all.
Yeah.
I used one batch with Berman sauce and one with Frank's sauce. They're both pretty good. I still like Frank's better, though.
So don't forget to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Talk or Go Home. We're
Really
there.
good.
And we're on
Smoked
TikTok.
'em.
We put out behind-the-scenes videos on our TikTok, and it's really fun. And if you want to go ahead and like actually watch this and you don't want to get on Spotify, remember you can watch this episode on Spotify and YouTube. It comes out on Spotify on the day of release, but then you can actually watch it on YouTube the Monday after it releases. We release these on Wednesdays, and then on YouTube the Monday after it releases. So go ahead and check that out on our YouTube channel. Subscribe, whatever. Like us, comment. Let us know what you'd like more of. And if you want to go on, there's a link in the show notes. If you want to click on, you can support us, donate some money to the cause if you'd like to help us make the show better. If you do support us, we could fire Aaron and actually hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
Please, sir. Can we have some? Is this on me? Like, do your job. I'm sitting here going to a montage and.
Look, I made a simple joke. Okay,
He's
you
not
can
gonna cut. You
finish
still
your
haven't cut
story.
to him.
Please, sir.
All
I'm done.
right. So don't forget, you can talk.
Go home.
Why are you on an Alabama kick?
We're talking about it.
No.
We're going to go to the fan club concert at Randy Owen's house in June, and then we're going to go to Sticky Fingers. But don't look up stickyfingers.com. Look up. He found out the hard way.
At school?
It was the hard way. Hey.
We're not going to get any better than that.
No, we're not.
We're never going to get any better than that. Thank God it's recording, but we can't publish that.
Hey, is this recording? Testing 1, 2.